Welcome back to another review video on Sophia's art supply review. I feel there is no better time to be an artist than now. The art supply market is flooded by products from the US, UK and even Russia. Today I would be unboxing a product from one of the oldest and the most famous art manufacturers in Russia called Nevskaya Palitra. This is the Sonnet Watercolor Studio Set of 24 shades, currently priced at Rs 1,450. Many artists would be familiar with the White Night series, which is one of the flagship brands of Nevskaya Palitra. They're known for their high concentration of pigments and their pure, deep and rich colors. In contrast, the Sonnet series is designed to target beginners. These paints are considerably inexpensive as compared to the White Night series. Just for reference, even a basic 12-shade box of the White Night costs well over Rs 2,000. However, when it comes to the Sonnet series, Nevskaya Palitra is able to keep the cost low by replacing some expensive pigments by less expensive organic pigments. The percentage of binders and fillers in the paints have been increased, thus bringing down the overall cost of the product. But the Sonnet series promises to deliver price effectiveness without compromising on the intensity and purity of colors. In today's video, I'm going to test out the Sonnet Watercolor Set, which is pitched as a student-grade color, to check whether it's actually worth its price. This specific box of the Sonnet Watercolor Set that I would be reviewing today contains 24 shades and costs Rs 1,450. But you may also opt for a smaller box of 16 shade, which is available at Rs 998. When you flip over the box, you will notice that all the information is given in English as well as Russian. The names of the 24 shades enclosed within the box are mentioned here. They've also indicated the light fastness of each individual colors with a star, wherein a single star means low light fastness, 2 stars indicate medium light fastness, and 3 stars indicate high light fastness. For those of you who is new to watercolors, light fastness refers to the stability of a pigment under long exposure to light. Low light fastness of 1 star basically means that the vibrancy of the paint may fade gradually over a couple of decades. While most colors are in the 2 to 3 star range, the orange and violet shade here has a single star, each indicating low light fastness, so you might need to keep that in mind while you're using these paints. If you do decide to use these paints on a more regular basis, you may even consider replacing these specific shades with a similar shade from the White Night series, which will ensure comparatively higher permanence. It's also good to note that these paints are manufactured at the Nevskaya Palitra plant at St. Petersburg in Russia and are not outsourced. When you remove the outer paper box, you will see a plastic sheet with all the 24 shades mentioned, along with their shade number and the stars that indicate their light fastness. This plastic sheet is a great idea because not only does it provide reference to the shades in the box, but it also helps to keep the pan secure in place. Now, when you peel off the plastic sheet, you can right away feel the honey-like consistency of the synthetic binder used. Now, I do like this creamy texture in my watercolor pans since it ensures that the paints are always moist and it's easier to activate the pigments with minimal amount of water. But on the hindsight, it does have this annoying tendency to stick to any surface that's laid on top of it. Looking closely at the pans, each pan has 2.5 ml of paints, which is a pretty decent amount considering the overall cost of the product. However, since there is no additional information given on the pan, it's hard to know which shade you're holding if you don't refer back to this plastic sheet. And I'll tell you why this bothered me. When I first opened up this pack, I accidentally dropped all the pans on the floor. And then I had a tough time trying to put it back in the order mentioned on the plastic sheet. There was absolutely nothing on the pan to indicate the shade name or the shade number. And it wasn't till I actually did a shades test that I was able to place the pans back in the order that was mentioned on the plastic sheet. The pans are placed in a plastic case which is reasonably sturdy and which in turn rests in this paper box. The overall packaging is very simple and basic, and you can see that the brand has trimmed out all extra frills to keep the overall cost of the packaging low. Another issue that I have with this box is that it does not come with a lidded container, which means it cannot double up as a palette. Now this is new to me since all the watercolor pans that I've seen so far, whether it's the Vincent Newton, Van Gogh or even the Camel colors, come in metal or plastic containers. This box has no such option, which means I cannot carry it in my travel kit. Artists who prefer to use the Sonnet series for plein air painting or while they are traveling may opt for a variant called Sonnet Watercolor 21 Shades Metal Full Pan Set. The metal container will ensure that the paints remain intact without any accidental leakage, and the lid would effectively double up as a palette. This set is available at Rs 1995. And now let's proceed to test out the paints. For the shades test, I have taken Archer's cold press watercolor paper of 300 GSM. I have mentioned the names of the shades and also added the stars corresponding to the light-fastness as mentioned on the packaging. I have added this thick black line in each box to check the transparency of the shade. I really love the shades in this box. The colors are rich and vibrant, and I'm really looking forward towards doing a quick sketch with these paints. Now the Sonnet watercolor may be pitched as a student grade watercolor, but I felt the pigment quality was extremely good. I was able to activate the paint with minimal amount of water, and I could pick up a considerable amount of paint with just one stroke of the brush. The vibrancy was great. There was no chalkiness that is usually associated with a student grade watercolor. And also the shade variety was fantastic. I was able to work directly on my sketch without worrying too much about mixing my shades. The wet on wet effect was stunning, the transparency was lovely, and the tonal range was really good. I could really push the paints to get that lovely dark hues. Another aspect that I would like to highlight here is that the pan size at 2.5 ml is somewhere between a half pan and a full pan. However, it works perfectly with brushes since you can pick up paints without actually ruining the brush, which is often the case when you're using a half pan. Overall, I believe that Nevskaya Palitra has managed to create these cheaper range of watercolors using synthetic binders and less expensive pigments, but it has not compromised on the quality of the paints. The vibrancy of the paint is fantastic, the tonal range and transparency is lovely, and I really like the shades in this box. For Rs 1450 for this box of 24 shades, I believe it's completely value for money. I totally recommend that you go ahead and try out these paints.